Tilehurst End podcast.
By Reading fans, for Reading fans.
Hello and welcome to the Tilehurst End podcast extra in association with the Wokingham paper. My name is Olly Allen, your host for today's show, and I'm delighted to be joined as ever by the Wokingham paper's Tom Crocker. Tom, hello, how are you?
Morning, Ollie. Fine, thank you. Yourself? Looking forward to the festive season can officially start now, I think.
Definitely, I've been calendars this morning, December the 1st, get into the festive spirit.
Good stuff.
And yeah, definitely. There's something that definitely increased our festive cheer was the 3-0 win over Barnsley midweek, which we will get onto in due course. But if we go back all the way back to last Saturday to look at Reading's 0-0 draw with Sheffield Wednesday, it was a fairly unentertaining game, shall we say. So there's not an awful lot to talk about it, but overall, was it a good point for Reading? Obviously, it was the first home clean sheet of the season.
Yeah, like I say, it was a poor game, really. I think Reading would feel a little bit aggrieved at the end of it. I think they were the better side on the day, but just couldn't really test the keeper for the whole 90 minutes, really. I'd say they were the better side. I think Sheffield Wednesday had the best chance just after half-time. A free kick blocked and clipped back into the box, and all the defence stood still, and there was 3 free men, and somehow they managed to fire it straight at Manone, which was a bit of a let-off. And then yeah, Reading dominated the possession and the territory, especially in the first half. Sheffield Wednesday got back into it a little bit, but Reading had the chances. Luco missed a couple, Barrow missed a great one right near the end, and yeah, it was just another frustrating one. And Sheffield Wednesday are a decent side, so you can't be too upset at the point. I thought it would end up with a draw. I think they're both pretty evenly matched teams, but position Reading, they really need to start winning the home games. And yeah, it was just a frustrating day, really. Good crowd in there, but it never really got going, and the keeper never really got tested. So that's probably the main disappointment from the afternoon.
Absolutely, yeah. You mentioned all the spurn chances there. I think Reading had 16 shots, and only one of them went on target. Sonny Luco missing quite a few of them. Does this sort of highlight sort of the need for a striker to come in January?
Possibly. I think it's always going to be on the agenda. It's been on the agenda for the last sort of year or so, really. But yeah, their chances are coming, but they're falling to Aluko. He's so out of form in front of goal. It's such a shame to watch because he's getting in good positions and showing some good play. But just whenever it gets to that final moment, he can't really finish it off. And Mo Barrow is similar, really. His final ball is the weakness in his game at times, and those are the two that the chances are falling to. I think Jan's looks rusty whenever he's played, and probably the chances are he might stick with Bodvarsson on Saturday. He looked good when he came on the other night. So yeah, Jan isn't looking like scoring particularly. He hasn't really had that many chances either, which is obviously a worry. And they're not really putting the balls into the box for him. And I think Liam Kelly's still the top scorer this season, and he hasn't scored for a long time now. So that's clearly the main concern. And I'm sure they'll definitely be looking for a striker as number one priority in January.
Definitely, I think you mentioned obviously Jan Kelly. I think when he came back, I sort of mentioned that I think it's a big ask to sort of ask him to score as many as he did last season, coming back obviously another year older, coming off the back of quite a bad injury really. I think do we sort of need to temper our expectations of him perhaps? Obviously he's come back into the fold recently.
Yeah, I think definitely Saturday and Tuesday it looks a little bit off the pace, and his best sort of work is coming in the defensive third really, which is he's always been good at that, but he's not really offering too much going forward. And I think, like you say, it's bound to take him a bit of time to get back into the swing of things, and just the fact that there's no one else really scoring, there's so much pressure being heaped on him and people looking at him to get the goals, and he's just not even getting the chances really, which is obviously the worrying thing. The main part of his game is holding the ball up well, and he does that at times as well. But yeah, I think people just need to I think they are sort of not really expecting too much of him. Like you say, he's had that big injury, and people are looking around at other people to try and step up and take on that mantle while he gets back into shape. And on Tuesday he came off quite early in the second half and went straight down the tunnel, and apparently whenever he comes off after every game he has to have quite a lot of treatment straight away to make sure he doesn't seize up again. So they're managing him quite well, and he's far from fully fit, but he's playing through it and trying to play his way back into fitness, which I suppose you can't really expect the best from him just yet because of that.
Definitely. So speaking of Tuesday night, it was a much more positive result, 3-0 win over Barnsley. It might still be over 3 weeks till Christmas, but we did see a Christmas miracle, really, with Jaap Stam naming an unchanged side for the first time this season. How important is it for this squad to sort of have a settled side? Obviously, they've been rotating, not necessarily through any fault of their own. Obviously, quite a lot of injuries. But how important is it for this side to sort of gel together and to get to know each other in a regular, settled formation?
Yeah, something that Jaap got asked about afterwards, and he said that it's not for a case of not wanting to pick an unchanged side, it's just they haven't been able to. And yeah, that's the team that he's got at the moment. He hasn't got too many options still because of those injuries, so it's not like he's settled on this team. I think still there's quite a few guys out who might well have been in that team if they were fit, but they are getting closer and closer to that best 11, if you like. But on the flip side, I think last season he changed the team quite a lot as well. Seemingly every week he made 1 or 2 changes, so I don't think it's a huge problem. And something he sort of said afterwards is that everyone in the squad knows what their job is when they come in, so I don't think they're using it really as an excuse. It's just the fact that you want to have everyone available in the squad every week, even if it's not necessarily starting. But if they can keep this 11, I think this 11 are all still fit again. So the chances are they'll play again on Saturday and try and keep this bit of momentum going. And I think it is important that they can try and not pick up so many injuries rather than necessarily keeping the same team, because that's been what's holding them back quite a lot this season, because they've had to keep chopping and changing, and there's new signings who haven't really gelled together just yet, and the more they play together, the better they're going to get. So yeah, I think it's definitely a big positive that they finally managed to name that unchanged side.
Yeah, I think if they can get 3-0 wins every week with that side, then
Yes.
that'll certainly be a positive. The goals coming from Dave Edwards, a header from him, an absolute screamer from Joe Vandenberg, his first league goal for the club, and then John Danny Bodvarsson finishing off the score at the end. Some people sort of suggest, I wasn't at the game, but some people sort of suggesting that perhaps it was more of a case that Barnsley that it was Barnsley being poor rather than Reading sort of just took advantage of that. Do you think Reading do deserve some credit, or was it more a case of Barnsley sort of just didn't show up at all?
No, when you mentioned Christmas Miracle, I thought you were going to mention Joey scoring actually, but yeah, that was I think keeper probably should have saved it, but yeah, it was a good hit from him. Yeah, Barnsley weren't particularly great, and Jaap after the game said that Reading have played better in recent weeks and not won, which seems to be its sort of go-to line whenever they seem to win a game. He always wants to try and downplay it straight away. I'm not too sure his thinking now. I think he just wants to try and stay one ahead of us lot on the media side. But yeah, Barnsley first half offered absolutely nothing, and Reading were just in cruise control really at 2-0, and like I say, a header from a corner, and Joey allowed to run all the way from the halfway line to have a shot, and it's found its way in the top corner, and 2-0 didn't flatter them at all. You could tell at half time Barnsley boss has made 3 changes at the break and given them a bit of a rollicking. They've come out in the second half absolutely flying really at the first 5-10 minutes and made Reading stand up and take notice, and yeah, they had a few chances themselves, and Reading sort of rode out that little bit of a storm and got back into their stride again and finally got the third goal. I don't think 3-0 particularly flatters them. It was good to get 3-0 win. Just feels a lot more convincing, a lot more positive than grinding out a scrappy one, and it just makes everyone feel a bit more positive, I think, going into the weekend. It's now obviously 3 games unbeaten, which you can look at it that way. Now they've won a game, so yeah, Barnsley weren't particularly great, but Reading showed good signs, and to get 3 goals is always, they don't often get 3 goals, so it's a positive sign for sure.
Yeah, I think it was the first 3-goal win since over a year. It was, and obviously a second successive clean sheet as well for Vito Mannone. A quick word on him. Obviously, he's had some sad news this week. His mother's fighting for her life after suffering a stroke, but obviously he missed the Bolton game, but he's come back for these 2 home games and kept 2 clean sheets. What a brilliant test of character, and the fact that he's come out of it and got 2 clean sheets is just a superb sort of show of character from Vito Mannone.
Yeah, he's a brilliant character, and in terms of the 2 games itself, he had pretty quiet afternoons, but just to be able to fully focus on a game like that when you've got such bigger problems off the field is, like you said, it's a huge testament to him, and he's a great guy to have around. He's a great guy to chat to, and he's here again for Sunderland on Saturday, and then he's going back to Italy because they've got a big break before the home game against Cardiff, so he sort of planned all that out already, and he's just trying to fully focus now. He's said himself his mum will be proud of him for playing these games, and yeah, we've got to wish him all the best and hope that everything goes well for him when he heads back next week, and that she's in a better state when he comes back again. So yeah, but it's brilliant from him, and I don't think anyone would have complained were he not to play these last couple of games at all. So the fact he has come back and done it with minimal fuss and done a truly professional job is it's brilliant from him. Yeah,
our thoughts are certainly with the Mannone family. We always seem to be blessed with sort of goalkeepers with superb personalities. Obviously, we had Olly Allen, who was a great ambassador for the game in general last season and the season before. And we thought we might have lost that when we sold him, but certainly bringing in Manone is certainly a superb character on and off the pitch. So that result leaves Reading in 16th in the Championship, 7 points off the drop zone and 9 points off the playoffs. I tweeted this in midweek, but it's sort of this result really needs to sort of kickstart Reading now. I think they can certainly use the Christmas period to try and get some momentum together and not sort of throw it away as they did after those 2 wins against Forest and Derby, and then sort of went back to basics. But how important is it now, obviously, Christmas period, to get some real momentum going ahead of the new year?
Yeah, I think I said before the Bolton game that they needed a minimum of 5 points, I think, just to keep themselves in touch and with a little bit of hope that they can sort of push up towards the top end of the table. And they've got that. I think Barnsley was a must-win for everyone's morale, really, more than anything. There's a team that should be beating at home, and just to get a 3-0 win there, it gives everyone a bit of a boost that they can get these wins at home, because they haven't had too many this season. And yeah, it's like you say, it's all about momentum, really. Now everyone's played the same amount of games, you know exactly where Reading are. And
yeah.
It's a trip to Sunderland and then a bit of a break for a big TV game. So, and then it's obviously the busy Christmas time. So yeah, that's like we've said plenty of times, that's been the problem all season, getting the win and then losing straight away. So if you can get 2 or 3 wins, you're going to look in such a better position in this league. That's how tight the league is, and while Reading have been down the bottom end for the whole season, if they can just get a couple of wins in a row, they're going to fly out the league, and there's no reason why they can't. I'd say on the day they're as good as anyone, really. I think Villa are sort of top 4, top 5 now, and they've beaten Villa, they've beaten Derby, who are top 6 as well, so they've shown they can get these wins. Like you say, it's simply all about consistency, and maybe, like you mentioned earlier, the team being the same for 2 games in a row, maybe that will start to help. And yeah, we've just got to hope there's some momentum coming forward now, but it's hard to be entirely confident that's going to be the case because it hasn't been all season just yet. But yeah, we'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, well, it was certainly the Christmas and New Year period that Brian McDermott's 2011-12 squad sort of started to turn things around, and obviously went on to win the title. So I'm not expecting that sort of turnaround, but certainly if you can get some, as you mentioned there, like a load of fixtures, just try and get as many wins as possible and get some momentum going. Stay clear of the injuries, more importantly, as well, and hopefully get themselves into playoff contention by the sort of time sort of February, March rolls around. Moving on then to just one bit of news this week. Omar Richards has signed a new deal until 2021. We spoke last week on the podcast about Omar Richards. Obviously, there was a rumour linking him to Derby and Bournemouth last week. How important is it now, obviously, to shut down those rumours that he's signed a new contract? Yeah,
so like say, you said it last week and mentioned it was probably sort of agent talk to try and maybe push along this contract deal, and if that's the case, it's clearly worked. And whether it was that contract was in the pipeline before or after, I'm sure they would have wanted to keep him, but maybe it's just brought it to the front of their minds a little bit to get it tied up and get him happy and moving on. I don't think there was any real desire for him to push on anywhere else. Yeah, like you say, it's just another name we can cross off the rumour mill for January, which is good. Whether or not he's fully ready for first team action just yet, I mean, he's looked good in the cup and played well at Derby, so there's every chance he'll get a little run in the team at some point, because obviously Abita's up for the whole season, so it's important to tie him down and to tie these young players down. And yeah, it's just someone else we don't really need to worry about now. In January, he's going to be staying here, and yeah, that's just the positive. Like I say, the amount of injuries they're getting, they can't really afford to be letting anyone go at the moment. So the fact he's tied down when his contract was running out, I think it's just another positive.
Definitely. So, as there isn't much other news this week, I thought we would have a look at the couple of other players who are out of contract. We've got Jonathan Bond, Anthony Akola, Tanai Watson, Stephen Quinn, Josh Barrett, Joseph Mendes and Dennis Rickels, plus a couple of the other youngsters. And to be honest, Tom, looking at that list of names, the only real 3 for me would be Anthony Akola, Tanai Watson and Josh Barrett. Obviously, Dennis Rickels out on loan, as is Jonathan Bond this season, and Stephen Quinn and Joseph Mendes sort of injuries sort of really keeping them away from the first team. Any names there you'd think the Reading would be looking to keep this season?
I think I'd pretty much agree with that, really. I don't think Jonathan Bond's really got a future here. He obviously came in and played a few games when he joined, but he's been loaned out a few times to lower leagues. That sort of says it all, really. And they've got good young goalkeepers coming through Reading, so yeah, I expect he'll move on. Joseph Mendes as well, he's been injured all season, and last season injured for the majority as well, so to keep him would be unlikely, I think. Same with Rackels. Stam never really fancied him. Then you look at it, Watson. Yeah, Watson it'll be a big few months for him. He's back fit now, played for the under-23s. So I'm sure he'll get a couple of goes in the first team, and he looked decent last year. So whether or not they'll decide to keep him, I mean, Stam's not been reluctant to get rid of some of the youngsters, so he'll have to sort of prove himself. And the same with Barrett as well. Stam was speaking about him a couple of weeks ago and said sort of last season that he had a long way to go, and this season he's really pushed on and he's doing brilliantly for the 23s, which Stam says if you're serious about playing in the first team, you've got to go and perform at that level, and he certainly has, and he's been involved in the squad a few times. So I think he's one that we could maybe see tied down in the coming weeks or months, because he showed what he can do, and maybe needs a little loan spell somewhere or something. But I think he could be one that they could tie down. But apart from that, I think the rest of them, I think there's one more there. You said, I can't remember who it was now, but
Stephen Quinn. It's quite easy to forget that Stephen Quinn is still a Reading player. We've not really seen much of him the last 18 months, which is quite sad. I thought he showed some really good signs of real promise in his first couple of games at Reading. But you don't think, obviously, is he still injured? I presume.
It's just such a shame because he's such a good player when he's fully fit. But he's still out injured now with his knee, and he's sort of in training, then out of training again. They're sort of listening to him now, and whenever he feels he can train, he'll train. But even when he's been sort of all fully fit in inverted commas, he's not really been involved in the team or the squad. So I think there was every chance he would have been loaned out in the summer, but he got the injury, so couldn't go. So the chances are he could move on in January, if not next summer. I don't think that. Well, there's no way you can expect that he'll be offered a new deal. So out of that lot, I think the goal, Yakola as well. It wouldn't surprise me if he left either. I think Yap would be happy to keep hold of him, but I think himself he might want to go somewhere else and play a bit after he got a little taste the other night and said himself he doesn't want to sit on the bench forever. So I think out of that bunch of players out of contract, I think maybe other than Barrett and possibly Watson, I don't think that we'll see any more of them tied down.
I wouldn't mind Yakola saying I think he's a decent backup, as you say. Obviously, he's not going to really want to sit on the bench for the next couple of seasons, and that number one shirt does seem to be Vito Manole's permanently. Speaking of, obviously, Stephen Quinn's injury, how are we looking on the injury situation? We saw Jan go off again midweek. Is that anything to worry about?
He went off. It wasn't a new injury. I asked Yap about that afterwards, because he did sort of go straight down the tunnel, which is never obviously a good sign, but it sounds like that's just routine for him. Like I say, he said if he sat on the bench in the cold, he would stiffen up again, and it would cause more problems. So he has to go in and be stretched around by the physios and all that. So I think it's just a routine for him. Like I say, the chances are I think he might not start this weekend, just because he's played a couple of games in a week, and he isn't fit enough to play 3 games in a week just yet. So if he does start, I don't think he'll play the full game, and he looks a little bit off the pace as well. So in terms of an injury, he's okay, and I think the rest of the squad will be the same as it was on Tuesday night, which is something rare as well from this season. John Swift and Sam Smith are still a couple that are out, and I think could be maybe back for Cardiff, but they'll still be out this weekend. Gareth McCleary is back in training now, light training, but he's not going to quite be ready for this weekend either, I don't think. But he's on nearing fitness again. So in terms of injuries, it's more about players coming back than being out, which possibly for the first podcast all season is the first time we managed to say that. So that's a bonus going into that Christmas period. Like you say, they need everyone as fit as they possibly can be for that, because there's a lot of games. Yeah,
definitely. Any news on Callum Harriott and George Evans? Are they still long-term injuries?
Yeah, I think George Evans is still, both of them really are still long-term. I think Harriott is back into training and stuff now, but they've got to be so careful with him, because he keeps breaking down whenever he's just on the
He always seems to be back in training and then picks up.
Pretty much, yeah. So I don't think they'll be rushing him at all. They haven't played sort of 23s or anything yet. So I imagine Harriott, he's been out for a year, so he'll have to play a couple of reserve games first. And Evans as well, I don't even think he's training again yet, as far as I'm aware. He's still a little way off, and obviously they hope to get most of these guys back around Christmas, but certainly for this weekend it'll be too short for them.
Brilliant stuff. Moving on to the Sunderland game then tomorrow, the long trip up to the Stadium of Light, and the Blackers obviously 22nd in the league, obviously relegated from the Premier League last season and struggling in the second tier. They do have a new manager in former Wales boss Chris Coleman, who guided them to their first win since August. The weekend it was a 2-0 win over Burton. They've got Lewis Grabban up top. Obviously, he's got 10 goals this season. Obviously, really struggled at Reading last season. Do you think it's just a case of him sort of, obviously he was played on the left and in the midfield quite a lot at Reading. Do you think it's sort of a case that Sunderland sort of they're playing him down the middle, and that's where they're getting the most beneficial from.
Yeah, absolutely. You say obviously he struggled, but he did play in both playoff semi-finals and he played in the final as well. So
yeah.
Stan was speaking about him, and he sort of said he is a goal scorer, but as it was last season, he wasn't playing in a position where he could score the goals. Like you say, Jan was up front and he was sort of playing in and around him. And I saw Lewis Grabban a lot when he was at Bournemouth, and he's such a great finisher and a good striker that when he came in January, I thought it was a brilliant signing. But he never really got the run up front, and I suppose he didn't need to. They're winning games, so they didn't really need to change it. But I always felt he would score goals in the Championship if he went somewhere else, and he's gone to Sunderland, struggling team, and he's still scoring quite a lot of goals. So yeah, I think he's a good striker and one to watch certainly. And I think there's a bit of talk that he might be recalled by Bournemouth and sold somewhere in January. So where that will be, I imagine it'll be maybe a higher up Championship club unless Sunderland want to buy him permanently. But that's one to watch, I think. But yeah, he's a good striker, and certainly he's really good at this level. He's proven it now over a few seasons, and it's no real surprise, I don't think, that he's scoring the goals now. He's been given that run down the middle, so there's every chance he could be dangerous on Saturday.
Sunderland themselves have no home wins in 2017. No. It would sort of be very, very typical Reading for them to go and get their first win of the calendar year at Stadium Light against Reading. Do you think Reading could fall victim, obviously, to the new manager bounce? Well, obviously Burton lost to them last weekend, and I think Chris Coleman is a top boss. Obviously, took Wales to the European Championship semi-finals. Is there a sort of banana skin game?
I think it very much is. Yeah, it's whenever you get a new manager in, and you always expect a little bit of a revival. And they obviously got the win last week, albeit against Burton. Yeah. So I don't think they'll be going too overboard about that one just yet. But yeah, it's they haven't won. I think it's 20 games in 2017. They haven't won, so you're always a little bit worried when you hear stats like that as well. I imagine as the players though themselves, obviously it won't really affect them. And as it stands, Reading are a better team than Sunderland, so that's the main thing to take from it. But also Sunderland had a full week to try and work on this new style under Coleman, and sort of Yap expects them to try and pass it out from the back a bit more now than they have done this season. So that said, we've seen as well that can take a little bit of time to work out in games, as it took a Stam's team. It's still working on it really. Some weeks it works, some weeks it's not so great. So yeah, there's every danger that it could be a banana skin. But you've got to hope that Reading's quality on the day, and they've got that positive result from Tuesday now, that it will shine through on Saturday. If they can get an early goal again, obviously the home crowd haven't seen a win for so long that you might hope they might get a bit downbeat on it. So I think an early goal could be crucial. But yeah, it's a banana skin for sure.
Yeah, we mentioned momentum earlier. It's just so important that they don't lose this game. Obviously, try and get two wins in a row. As for the prediction league, then you correctly predicted the result again, not the score, but the result. You predicted the win against Barnsley and a draw against Sheffield Wednesday, leaving you joint top with Wim on 11 points. Mark, Handbags, and Johnny on 8, and then Westy on 7. Trying to keep top of the prediction league, or perhaps go outright to top on your own. What are you going to go for these Sunderland games?
I'm going to go for a Reading win, actually. I think, like I said, I think they're the better team at the moment this season. I fully expect Sunderland to stay up, but I think we might have just caught them before they get on a roll, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Reading win, and hopefully a bit of, like I said, build that momentum ahead of a week off before the Cardiff game. So yeah, 2-1 to Reading for me.
Yeah, I am cautiously optimistic ahead of obviously it is a long trip up to the Stadium Light, but I think I might go for a 1-0 Reading. So that's all good. What can we look forward to on the Wokingham paper this week?
Yes, we've got the preview from Stan for Sunderland coming up on the website this afternoon on wokinghampaper.com, and then yes, it's all eyes turn to Saturday, and then it's the big long build up for the Cardiff game. So that's on the website and on my Twitter at Tom J Crocker for that.
Brilliant stuff. Obviously, stay tuned to the Tyler End as well. Obviously, at the Tyler End on Twitter, on Facebook and YouTube as well. We've got a Tyler End Advent Calendar series. Obviously, it's the 1st of December. Today we'll look at a player each day, obviously related to that, to a player that wore that shirt number. So obviously we have Adam Federici today. I think Graham Murty, and number 2 is tomorrow. Cheers, Tom, for joining me this week.
Brilliant, thanks, Olly.
No worries. We've got a 9-day break between the Sunderland game and the Cardiff game. Also, that's a Monday night game live in front of the Sky cameras against promotion contenders Cardiff. So we will look ahead to that one next week. Thank you very much for listening, and come on yours.
Get social with the boys.
Find them on Twitter
at the Tilehurst End
and facebook.com/the Tilehurst End.